Hey everyone, welcome. I decided to do a new install guide now that my old one is really almost 2 months old. And that one was using the drivers provided by Onex, and those are outdated at this point. So we do have some new drivers from March 20th, and I haven't installed them yet, so I'm going to try to just recreate the install video. Some voiceover, some a little bit of me kind of talking about my other videos, but I'll try to do my best to recreate it without fully uninstalling everything from a fresh start so that you can set this up the right way right off the bat instead of going from my install guide to my external monitor fix to the new driver updates. So that would be the process currently, but I'm going to try to just streamline that into one video here so that if you are just getting this device, or maybe it's just not working properly for you, you can kind of reset and start from the beginning to get everything working well together here. So if you're new to the channel, always check my video descriptions for more details. I do update them frequently, so if there is something new that comes up with a certain video, I'll put it in there and I'll put it in that description so you can always check back and see if I've updated something that might be helpful to fix whatever you might be going through, or if you're curious about some more questions of what I've done in the video, you can always check back to those descriptions. So the Onex driver that was provided in my original install video is outdated from January, somewhere around there, and it's meant to coexist with the Legion Go. And so what that means is like the Legion Go has its own app through the App Store for AMD, and that's kind of how you run it between the two devices. The Legion Go uses the AMD Radeon graphics card driver, and that driver that was provided by Onex is to let them work together. The problem starts when you start using an external display. And when you use an external display, everything gets very messy and it stops working properly. And so that's why we're going to go through in this video on how to fix that right from the start and install it correctly from the start so you don't run into those problems. If you just want to use the two devices together and you don't care about going any further, then you can go back to my install video and just follow that one and just stick with that day one install. And you can use the driver provided by them, but just know that if you have newer games and you're having issues, some of the drivers that are out right now fix those issues with those newer games. And so you're not going to be able to use those unless you have a newer driver that's updated for the Legion Go, which that doesn't happen as often as the regular drivers that you would get from the AMD website direct. And what I mean by that is the AMD Radeon graphics driver that's in here, we're going to flip that to the 780M driver, and that's going to allow you to be able to use the newest drivers with these two devices. And we're also going to go through how to make them work together and in an AMD app that actually functions properly. So right now I just have the Legion Go connected. It's connected to power straight into an outlet with the power brick. The Onexgpu is turned off. It is not plugged in. There's a Thunderbolt cable in here and it's just sticking on the end here. I have a Razer cable in there. We'll go over that. But it's not plugged in. So don't plug it in. Don't turn it on. It doesn't need to be connected to power whatsoever right now. Let's just set this aside for the moment. And we're going to focus on the Legion Go and how we can fix the Legion Go and get the most out of these two devices. And a little disclaimer here for anybody with a different type of handheld, if you still have a 780 graphics card or if you still have an AMD Radeon graphics card, you can still make this work. Just swap out the Legion Go. Whenever I say Legion Go, you can swap it out with whatever device you have and it should still work. Whenever I say the Onexgpu, you can swap that out with the GPD G1 and it'll work with that as well. So this isn't just a fix with these two devices. You can use this for other devices too. These are just the two devices that I have. And so we're going to go through it. I'm going to use these two names to identify which one I'm talking about, but you can swap out the names. All right. Let's get into it. The first thing we want to do is update your Legion Go. And like I said, this is the only thing we have powered on right now. This is what we want to focus on right now is the Legion Go. So let's make sure that you have the newest BIOS, that you have the newest drivers, the newest chipset, whatever that looks like. All right, so the way that you're going to do that is you're going to go to pcsupport.lenovo.com, and I'm using Canada because I am in Canada, but whatever that looks like for you, the PC support website. If you already have your Legion Go in there, you can click on it and it'll be at the bottom corner. It'll show you the right one. And then you can go into drivers and software here. And you can click automatic update to scan now, or you can manually update your drivers to select which one you want. If you want to go look at the new BIOS, you can do that. The most current one in here is 29. So once you've updated your Legion Go, everything on here is good. What you're going to do is restart your Legion Go. After you've restarted it, go into this little magnifying glass here and type in Device Manager. And once you have that, click on the Device Manager. And in here, we're going to go under Display Adapters. And you can see here that I have the 780M graphics driver, and that's because I've already swapped out the drivers from the regular Legion Go one that says the AMD Radeon graphics. I've already changed it to the Radeon 780M graphics. I'm going to show you how to do that here. While we grab the Legion Go driver, we're also going to grab the Onexgpu driver. To get the drivers, we're going to go to Resources and Support, and then we're going to go to Downloads, and we'll scroll down and go to Drivers under Radeon Graphics and AMD Chipset. And then we're going to scroll down and we're going to select the right products that we have. So again, we're going to do both the Legion Go and the Onexgpu. Let's start with the Legion Go. So we're going to go with processors with graphics for the first one. Then we're going to go Ryzen processors. And then Ryzen 7 processors with Radeon graphics. And if your screen is cut off like this, you can just zoom out. Now on here, we're going to scroll down until we see this 7840U. Super important that you pick this one. If you don't pick this one, you're going to have issues. So please make sure you select this one. Hit Submit. And we're going to click on Windows 11 because all these handhelds that are newer, like the Legion Go, have Windows 11. If for some reason you have Windows 10, then make sure you click on the Windows 10. Scroll down. Don't select this auto detect one. The one that we want is the AMD Software Adrenaine Edition. And you can see the release date here is March 20th, 2024. So we're going to hit download. And when we hit download here, it's going to pop up, hit save as. And we're already in the downloads folder for me, but if you're not already in the downloads folder, hit the download button here, and it'll take you to the downloads folder. At the very bottom here, you can see that there's a file name. I want to change that file name, and I'm going to change it to Legion Go. And just because I have a few of these different files in here, I'm actually going to put March 20 on there, just so that I have an indicator that this is the new driver. And then we're going to hit save. And it'll go ahead and it'll save it into that downloads folder. So I don't want to open the file. Do not open any of the files. Just leave them there for now. Please do not open them. If you do, it will mess up everything. So if you did by accident, close it and try to forget that that ever happened. All right, let's go back. Now we're going to select the one for the Onexgpu. We're going to hit Graphics, AMD Radeon RX 7000M series. We're going to go here, click it again, and then we're going to hit the 7600M XT1. So make sure it's the one with the XT. Hit submit. And then again, we're going to hit that plus sign on Windows 11. Scroll down to the AMD Software Adrenaine Edition. hit download. Again, do not open this file. All right. So save as, and I'm going to go into downloads again, but I want to save this one as 1x March 20. So you can see I put that as the prefix here, 1x March 20. And that way I clearly know which one is for the Legion Go, and I clearly know which one is for the 1x. Hit save. We'll let that finish. All right, so that's done. Now that we have all the drivers, we want to start with the Onexgpu and fixing that one first and getting that installed before we mess with changing the graphics driver on the actual Legion Go. So when you initially set this up, you're going to have the power cord plugged in here. I've got a brick back here. You'll notice that it's obviously not connected to the power bar. It's because I've taken off this tip, and I have a quick tip video if you want to see what this is about. But this is the end that is on the brick. And when you have it sitting in the wall like this, or another device, there's no ground. And also it's very back heavy, so it can fall out and not be plugged in correctly. So the best thing that you can do when you initially get this is to just buy a PC power cord and swap this out and plug that in. So I'm going to go ahead and plug the power in. And when I plug the power in, you notice that the blue light went solid. That blue light needs to be solid. The Onexgpu isn't even turned on, but that should always be solid. If it's not, then it's probably not going to send the right amount of power or any power to this device. So once we have the power on and the light is on, I'm going to go ahead and turn the power button on. It's right here at the very bottom, or on the side. If you're on the side, it'll be on the left side, as long as you have the fan pointing up, which you should always have the fan in a position where it's not being blocked whatsoever. So once that's started, I'm going to unplug the power on the Legion Go. And I'm going to leave it plugged in for now because we will need to plug that back in. And I'm going to take my USB-C cable that I have plugged into the Thunderbolt 4 port, and I'm going to plug it into the Legion Go. And when I do that, you can see that right now it's showing the right graphics card, and the RGB is lit up on here. So you want this all to be lit up. If it's not lit up, there's a problem. All right, so in Device Manager, under the display adapters, again, you can see the 780M and you can see the 7600M XT. When you initially plug this in, I'm going to go back to my install video. I'll just show you here. This is what it's going to look like. You've got the AMD Radeon graphics for the Legion Go, because we haven't changed it yet at this point. And you've got the Microsoft Basic Display Adapter that's going to show up as the Onexgpu. So what we want to do is we want to right-click this, just like we would, let's say this for example. And you're going to want to uninstall this one right here. And once you uninstall this, restart your Legion Go. So once you have it restarted, you're going to see the Microsoft Basic Display Adapter again. That's okay. Just minimize the device manager. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into the downloads folder where we have our two drivers staying. And we're going to double click on the 1X March 20th, whichever one, however you named it, but the 1X one that I have is March 20th. Hit yes. It's very important that we change a couple of things on here. And that is right here, driver only. Do not do a full install. Don't do a minimum install. Just do the driver only. I'm going to hit don't allow AMD to collect. If you want to allow them to collect, that's totally up to you. And the file location will be in Program Files AMD. we're going to hit install. And we'll let this finish. It's okay if your screen flips. The Legion Go is set to a portrait display, so it's a native portrait display, which means it'll always default back to this way. If you see it go that way, that's okay. So once it's done, it says a system restart is recommended in order to complete installation. When you boot in, typically at this bottom little arrow here, you'll see an icon that says xconnect, and that'll show that it recognizes the GPU as enabled. When you don't see that, then the GPU is not really connected properly. So right now it is connected. It's just not connected properly because we're not done messing around with the programs and the drivers to make them all work together. So let's keep going. So we're going to open up the device manager, and under display adapters, you're going to see that there's the right driver for the Onexgpu. There's the AMD Radeon RX 7600 XT. That's showing up correctly now. For mine, it'll now have an error that there's an issue with the 780M graphics. On your screen, you'll probably still have the AMD Radeon graphics if you haven't already updated it. That's okay. We'll go through how to fix that here. The first thing we need to do is disconnect the Onexgpu. Now, because I don't have a little icon here to eject it properly, which if it's usually here with the xconnect, you can right click it and you can eject it. Then it tells you it's safe to disconnect the Onexgpu. But again, because we don't have that, we're going to shut down the computer and then unplug this and then power this off, and we can leave it plugged into the wall for now. And then we're going to plug in the actual power supply for the Legion Go so that this stays powered while we do the updates. The reason why we want to do this is because if you start updating the drivers for the actual Legion Go while this is connected, it gets confused between the two devices of which one we're updating the driver on. So you need to disconnect this in order to fix the Legion Go driver. So I'm going to shut it down completely, hit shut down anyway. Okay, now that this is turned off, I'm going to unplug this. I'm going to plug the power source back in. And I'm going to power this off. You can see the blue light is still solid. That's okay that there's power still on there. And we'll turn on the Legion Go again. All right, the computer's restarted. I've gone back into the device manager. You can see that there's only one display driver that's active, which is the Legion Go one. So let's go and talk about for a second if you have Radeon graphics. So if you have this one, we need to flip it to the 780. And the way that we do that is by going into the C drive here. So under this PC, C drive, and there's an AMD folder. And I want you to go ahead and just delete that folder. Yes, I'm going to continue, and we're going to delete it. All right. So once we've deleted it, we're going to close this. Now what we want to do is go back into the downloads folder, and we're going to double click on the Legion Go driver. We'll hit yes. And we'll wait for that to install. And you'll see that it says, oops, something went wrong. That's okay. This is actually what we want. We want to get this error. And the reason why we want to get this error is because we want our folder in the C drive to repopulate correctly for the AMD. So if I go back into, again, Windows C drive, you can see the AMD folder is back because we just deleted it. So we'll close that. Also going to close this. We'll be back into the device manager and display adapters. And now what we're going to do is go to Properties. And we'll just check that it says my old driver, so I'm just going to double check to see the date of the driver. That way you know if you've updated the driver. So for me, I'm going to flag February 15th. If you've got an older driver, just take note of that driver date so that you can figure out if you've updated the driver or not. Right click it again, hit Update Driver, and we're going to go Browse My Computer for drivers, and then let me pick from a list of drivers on my computer. So that's the one we're going to select this time. You're going to Have Disk, then Browse, and we're going to make sure that we are in this PC. Just double check, C drive, AMD. We're going to go to AMD Software Installer. We're going to go to Packages, then Drivers, and then we're going to go to Display, and then this INF folder here. And then in here, we're going to find the only file that says INF. So read at the file type here, it says INF file, and there's a number here. So we're going to select that, and then we're going to hit Open, and then OK. And in here, you're going to find the AMD Radeon 780M graphics. It needs to say exactly that, not this 780 up top, like this, not this one. It has to be the one that says AMD 780M graphics. If your driver doesn't say that after, then you don't have the right one. So now that we've got that one selected, I'm going to hit Next. Yes, I want to install this driver even though it's not recommended by Windows and can't verify, because we're doing a manual process to get this specific driver put onto the Legion Go. Alright, so now that it's updated, it says the right graphics card. We're going to hit Close. You can see that the little icon went away on my graphics driver. You'll also notice on yours it should say this correct driver now, instead of, again, the AMD Radeon graphics driver. Restart your computer just for good measure. I like to do that just to make sure after every single time we do a change so that we know that it sticks. All right, now that we've restarted, we're going to go back into Device Manager. We'll go into Display Adapters. We're going to right-click on the 780M one, hit Properties, and then we'll look at the driver date. And you can see here it says March 13th, 2024. So we now have the new driver on here. And again, yours should say this too. Now this next part, I don't have to redo it because I still have the AMD Settings app. And this is what the AMD Settings app looks like, in case you're wondering what I'm talking about. It literally says AMD Settings. So to get this app, I'll show you how to do that. Again, I already have it installed in here, but this is the app you're going to use instead of Adrenaline, because having Adrenaline with these two devices just doesn't work well. All right, so for the AMD Settings app, you're going to go into the C drive, into the AMD folder again. You're going to hit AMD Software Installer. And from there, we're going to hit Packages. Then we're going to hit Drivers, then Display, and then the INF folder again. It'll always be this last folder here with a combination of a letter and some numbers. We're going to double click that, and in here we're going to find a file called CCC2. And here it is right here. So CCC2 install. So you're going to double click that and you'll hit yes. And it's going to take a few minutes to install. Like, you'll think that the screen is frozen. It's not. Just wait it out. It does take a long time to do. And then you'll see a close button that will become visible when it's done. If you want to see what that looks like, you can go into my new driver install video. And I actually go through the process of reinstalling this in case it uninstalls when you update your new drivers. So you'll hit yes, you'll wait for that to go through, you'll hit the close button once you wait an obscene amount of time for that to finish, which again, It's not frozen. Just give it a minute or 2 or 3 or 4, however long it takes for that to finish. Once that close button is visible, then you can click close and you're done. Once that's installed, restart the Legion Go. At this point, once you've restarted the Legion Go, you can go back into Device Manager again. If you didn't have it pop up correctly the last time, it should now that you've installed that CCCC2 app. So everything should be correct. At the very bottom here, if you were to search for the AMD Settings App, it should pop up, and your graphics driver for the Legion Go should now say 780M. So now we're going to go back and we're going to turn on the Onexgpu again. I'm going to unplug the power on the Legion Go, and I'm going to plug back in the GPU. You'll see it refresh. Both of these are up and running. At the very bottom here, we had this pop up that the external graphics are working, which is great. That's what we want. That's what should pop up every time you start up your Legion Go or your handheld. In here, we're just going to double check the drivers and properties to make sure that they still say the same date. So yeah, March 13th. And then let's go look at the other one for the Onexgpu. And that also says March 13th. So again, the driver that we downloaded said March 20th, but the actual physical driver date is the 13th. So that's okay. It's close enough to it. It's usually a week off from the date that it says on the AMD website. So that's totally okay that it doesn't say March 20th. All right, so now you can go back into the AMD Settings App. And in that AMD Settings App, you should see the adrenaine version is updated. So if you remember at the start of the video, I was at a different version than this. Now we're at a newer one that says March 13th, 2024. So now we know we have the newest driver. And over here, you're going to see that my Legion Go driver is listed. And you'll also see that I have a second one listed for the Onexgpu. If you want to turn on an overlay, you just need to click on Performance. And that's going to let you set whatever you want for overlays. You can put whatever GPU that you want to mark on your overlay for FPS. If you want system memory look, latency, whatever you want, just select the little eyeball for whichever one you want to see. And then you can go into overlay and you can toggle the overlay on, and it'll pop up just like this, and it'll show exactly what you want to see for overlays. If you use the Legion Go one on here, it's not going to work. The FPS counter will not work anymore because you're not using the same driver that's compatible with this overlay because we've changed it. When you don't have the Onexgpu running, the Legion Go will still run just fine. It'll still run on the 780 graphics card. Sometimes it might flip to portrait. It'll flip back to landscape where you can change it in the settings, or maybe you got to go on to an external display and edit it that way so that you can flip the picture back, because some games get upset with portrait displays. So just there's little quirks like that. Not always, it doesn't happen very often. Just want to give you a little bit of a notice on that. So this is the overlay that you're going to use if you're going to use an overlay. Now let's say you've done all these updates and everything and your Legion Go starts stuttering. There was a specific Windows update in March here that messed with our gaming handhelds that are Windows based. And so I'll leave a comment in the description, or you can look at the community page where I've posted some methods that were shared online for how to fix that stuttering. The thing that I would recommend is to go into that Windows update and follow the steps on that to just uninstall that specific update that's causing the stuttering. So again, that's only if you're having stuttering issues. It's possible that these new drivers, because I haven't tried them out yet, I've literally just installed them with you here. It's possible that maybe that makes it so it doesn't stutter anymore. Moving forward, if you need to update any new drivers, you can refer to my new driver update video. It'll be the same process. It's just a matter of getting the new updated links. And so the links that I had left in the description in that video will still tell you how to get to those specific links. If those links don't work to get to the right driver, it'll still show you how to get to that specific driver. So it has a breakdown of each menu that you'll need to select in order to get to that. in case you need some more details or you want something to reference. You can reference that video. Couple recommendations I have when you're using this device and you're new to it, and those recommendations are changing out the cable. The 1X cable that comes with this device is terrible in my opinion. Used it for maybe a day or two before I started having issues with it, and then I upgraded to a cable with an LED display on it, so that tells you what kind of wattage is coming through, which is kind of cool. It tells you if there's power coming to the device from the 1X GPU. This one is still good, but I wouldn't recommend getting a 2 meter of it. If you're going to keep it, it has to be a short one, because I'm pretty sure this is a passive cable, and so you can still have disconnection issues for it, but it's a lot more stable than the one for the 1X GPU. I have a video comparing these cables, so if you want to take a look at that, it's a Thunderbolt cable comparison video. This is a Razer cable that's in here right now. It's the 0.8 meter one. I also have a 2 meter one. And I use the 2 meter one if I want to extend to sit on a recliner or whatever and run it with the Legion Go display. If you want to get the best performance, going out into an external display will give you faster performance, better FPS. So that's what I would recommend if you want to get the most performance out of this. There's also a little turbo button here. So you can see that little red button that I turned on. It's like a lightning bolt. That'll overclock your GPU, so it'll make it run hotter. It'll probably make it louder, depending if you're wearing headphones and you can't hear it or not, but it'll push your device a lot harder to give you an extra performance boost. So if you don't need to run that, don't run it, because there's no point in pushing your device if you don't need to push your device. If you're using an NVMe in here, the slot in here is a PCIe 3. So if you're looking to have an NVMe just for this device, it doesn't make sense to buy the latest, greatest, fastest PCIe 4 NVMe, because you can't do it on here. Like, it'll cap at the bandwidth. So just note that if you want to have it just for this, there's no point in spending that extra money for a PCIe 4 NVMe if you don't need one. And if you are putting an NVMe here, when you format it, make sure you put the right letter drive, because if you have an SD card in here and it's already on that letter drive that maybe you already have on here, there'll be a conflict there. So you want to make sure that there's 2 different letter drives for each unit here. I have a lot of videos covering these 2 devices. So if you take a look at the channel, you'll see a couple different options, and there's little tidbits and tips between different videos. The community is really helpful and supportive. So if you do have some questions or you need some advice or some tips, feel free to just put it in the comments and I'll respond. Others will respond. It's really been a great community for that kind of stuff. So if you do need that help, just leave a comment, ask. If you're not sure about something, ask. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Leave me a comment, leave me some feedback. Think about subscribing if you haven't already. It definitely helps me meet my channel goals, and I appreciate it. Thanks everybody for watching. Take care until the next one.